Here we go. It's finally here. Welcome to the 2025 NHL Draft Live, where tonight history gets written and futures are decided. I'm Jim Icavone, and we're bringing you unfiltered, real-time coverage of every pick, every trade, and of course, what the heck the Philadelphia Flyers are going to do tonight. We've got a full lineup of guests, insiders, and Flyers talk all night long, so buckle in, grab your snacks, get your drink of choice, and let's get ready for one of the most unpredictable draft nights in recent memory. The clock is almost officially ticking. Questions are flying. We'll break it all down for you live. Now, let's get this thing started. All right, so we're going to wait for some peeps to pile in here. It looks like Gary Bettman's talking here. So one thing I want to bring to attention here is the odds at 4 for James Higgins are increasing. Last I saw it was minus 330, and I got to get my phone out here to check what they are now. So I have my computer on a VPN, and if you don't have yours on a VPN, I recommend it. All right, so let me see here. We have a question already in the chat. Terry wants to know, are we moving up to 2? Now, I hadn't heard that, but according to what's out there, everything's wide open. We have the NHL, go to NHL draft here. Number 4, so James Higgins is back to minus 210 at pick 4. If you guys haven't seen already, I'm wearing a Flyers jersey tonight. This is the first time in, I think, years that I've worn this jersey. It just happens to be a Michkov jersey. And there you go. It goes perfectly with your HW Hockey golf hat, which a lot of you have purchased already. Thank you for that. Terry said he just read the rumor on Hockey Buzz. I had not seen that, Terry. So yeah, we do have a lineup of guests for you guys tonight. We're going to let things kind of get kicked off first. Jack's going to show up at some point here. He's going to pop in and out. He's having a party at his house. But yeah, guys, if we can get some of you guys on too, that'd be fun. Drop your Twitter handle in there, and I'll send you a link in your DM. It'd be cool to kind of talk to some of you guys live. But I want to know, who do we want at pick 6 tonight, as the Flyers currently have? Do we want James Higgins, who's become the hottest name in this draft, in my opinion? And was he overhyped? Is there draft fatigue? It sounds like he can go all the way up as soon as 4. He can drop to potentially as low as 7 or 8. We're hearing now, which is a little bit crazy. I would love to have the draft on a split screen here so you guys could watch the draft and me at the same time, but that's against the YouTube rules. So you get to stare at this face while you watch the draft here. Can you believe that another Metro team has the first overall pick? I feel like we haven't talked about that. New Jersey drafts Nico Hischier. They get to draft Jack Hughes. Rangers get Lafreniere. Then they get the second overall pick, and then Capo. He's not even there anymore. And now the Islanders get the first overall pick, who, by all accounts, I'm pretty sure they go chalk with Matthew Schaefer, right? Here we go. The first pick's coming up here. Which there's some shady stuff going on with that, right? Like they got that I think they got ripped off with that the arena thing where the World Championships were moving or something. All of a sudden they jump up 12 spots, was it? 11 spots to the first overall pick. All right, so the Islanders are officially on the clock here. I don't think we see anything crazy. I think they go chalk. Matthew Schaefer. What do you guys think? We do have a player card on a lot of these guys. Hey, Shadow. Dave showing up in the chat there. I think I got a player card on everybody except Matthew Schaefer today. There's a McQueen. Eklund. The Islanders, I would assume they should be running to the podium unless they're moving back a spot with San Jose. I was thinking maybe if there were rumors that San Jose maybe would have moved up to take Misa, number 1, and the Islanders could get whatever assets and still take Schaefer, number 2. But let's see. The Islanders look like they made the pick already. I'm pretty sure the NHL is going to drag this out. All 3 minutes here. All right, here we go.
First overall selection in the 2025 NHL draft. The New York Islanders are proud to select from the area.
All right, so kind of went as expected there. Oh, looks like Jack's popping in already. Jack, they just made Matthew Schaefer goes first overall.
Can you hear me?
That's why I put it down, Tom.
All right, I hope I sound okay.
Kind of how we expected that to go, you know, like everybody on the planet expected Matthew Schaefer to go first overall there.
Well, to no surprise, the number 1 ranked guy goes number 1. And this is where it's supposed to get interesting. Could it be Frondell? Could it be Misa? Is there a trade? I doubt it, but you never know.
Look at this. Look at this suit. This getup from Schaefer here. I'm going to say now, without even seeing the second player taken, best dressed at this draft.
Did you hear about his story with his mom, breast cancer and all that?
I did not.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He lost his mom to breast cancer a couple of years ago. Seems like such a good kid. Really good family. Went through some tragedy, obviously, but I've listened to the whole story, and I was like, oh, man, there was a way the Flyers could wind up with him and be all for it.
They got you, huh? Tugged at your heartstrings there?
It did. It really honestly did. I was like, damn. I guess now as a father, things are different, you know.
Yeah.
But damn. Yeah, so that, you know, we knew that was going to happen. Now the draft, I know we thought the third pick be like this is where the draft really begins, but could be now.
Took that jacket from Mike. I love a good houndstooth, especially a whole suit there. Nice black tie, nice professional looking, but stylish. You know, I don't know if you guys watch the NBA draft, but some of those guys, and I know they all get their ideas from designers, yada, yada, whatnot. But for me, I appreciate the professionalism while still looking stylish. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it looks good. Good for him. Dressed right, appropriately for the occasion. And he's not going to look back in 20 years and say, "What the hell was I thinking?"
You're the Italian one. You would know better than me, man.
Dude, I don't know about that. There you go. He dons the New York Islanders jersey for the first time. And then, Jack, so I was talking a little bit earlier here. The odds for Higgins have gone down. They went up to They went up to minus 330 at one point to be taken fourth overall. They're down to minus 200 now.
Where's my cousin? Let me see.
You know, I'm really getting pissed off with the Islanders GM right now. I was joking this morning, like, Long Island boys, stay away from Higgins. Now it's like, even if they don't get him, I feel like he's going to be disappointed. Like, if they're about to trade up, or it comes down to the Flyers and we take Higgins, I'm going to be like, he's going to be disappointed. It kind of takes the steam away. I don't like it. I don't like the whole scenario.
You think Higgins is going to be disappointed?
There's a chance. I think we'll get over it, you know, but it'll take away from the moment. And I'm kind of like, I just don't like it. Everything about it is like,
what do you make of
tainted? It's tainted. That's the word.
What do you make of him saying he eventually wants to lift the cup with the Islanders one day? You.
Hagen said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's like the worst thing I could possibly say. It's like, I'll just stay here with the Flyers. Maybe he won't pull a Cutter, but he'll do his like ELC and maybe a bridge deal. And then it's like, okay, free agency for me.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of hey, we got a new guy in here. Vapor. Let's LFG. This is a children friendly show tonight, Vapor. But yes, let's effing go indeed. If you guys haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment for us. We like to interact. We like to comment. No, Jack. No. You have the normal amount of background noise for a nice draft soiree.
I'm trying. I don't have my mic, so I'm curious how this is going.
I think people understand it. It's a
party. It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party. Oh, they're doing all this, huh?
Yeah, they're gonna drag it out. You know they
are. Okay, so on the clock officially now are the San Jose Sharks. And do we see them going for sure, Michael Misa? Was all the Frundell talk, you think, smokescreen?
I think if they're smart, it is.
Oh, we have someone popping in already. We have your partner in crime, Josh Bright, pounding. What is that, a Red Bull or a beer?
That's a Surfside.
That's a Surfside. You know, I discovered those by accident when they came out a while back. I was at, have you guys ever been to Garage in Philly?
I have, yeah.
And I was real big on mixing iced tea, lemonade, and vodka. And I was like I was a little bit under the influence, and I was asking for not Arnold Palmer's. I was asking for John Arnold's, and that's not what they're called at all, right? The vodka, iced tea, and lemonade. And so, hey, the guy comes up to me, goes, you know, we have a drink that has all three combined, and it's called, what was it again?
Surfside.
Surfside.
Right.
And I must have had about 20 of those that night.
So most of those tea drinks are all based in like Philadelphia because it's so huge there. But we just got these in Colorado actually, so I found this at Target, and I could not be more excited. This is the only thing I really like to drink.
Dude, like I said, I had about 20 of those that night. But the thing is, like, I was like, I felt good. Like, usually you have 20 of anything, you're stumbling out of the joint, but pretty good.
They're easy to put back.
Yes, they are indeed. Have you guys heard of the Have a Days? Have you heard of the Have a Days? Okay.
No, but I will say on Surfside, they are gluten-free, which is great for my wife. And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Surfside, if you see this, we are always accepting sponsorships. Josh, so you guys did a great job with your draft content there. I was told before the show you guys put out a top 50 list.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I think it's pretty chalk inside the top 10. I know I had a few guys slip in like Jackson Smith, Lyndon Lakovic, but there's not like a whole lot of surprise in that list. But I think Paul and I did it based on upside as opposed to like the impact they'll have in the league or like playoff performance. I think we just went, what's their ceiling? What's the highest level these guys can reach, and kind of ranked it that way.
And so I would assume they have Misa going too here.
It's hard to imagine not. I mean, I know I listened to a few draft shows where it seems like Frondell was sneaking into that second, but everybody lies right before draft time. So it's hard to imagine they pass on Misa. He's clearly the best forward in this draft. I can't see them going anywhere else.
So something that I'm noticing here, because we have Megan's best available streaming along the bottom of the screen there, is they had Roger McQueen as their 6th ranked prospect. And I think on most lists, he's maybe going just outside the top 10, if not right on the edge there. And I assume that's because of the back issues, but Megan was not afraid to put him as her 6th ranked prospect. And I guess that's not where she thinks he'll be mocked, but overall skill wise, she has him going 6. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a little ballsy. Paul and I kind of talked about it a lot. I was pretty high on McQueen throughout the year, but the more we watched him and the more I really got to know him, I think even without the injury, you're looking at a guy who should probably be in like that 11 to 15 range. I think there's a chance he could sneak top 10, but I haven't seen it consistently enough with him, and I think there's still a lot to put together. He's a really raw player, but the tools are there.
I have a feeling this draft could get a little funny. You have teams just outside the top 10 with multiple picks. The Penguins now have 2 picks. Can they use them to get into the top 10? You have who just traded for the 2 with the New York Islanders now have 2 picks just outside at 16 and 17. Do they somehow get in there? We know that they're trying to snag James Higgins. I don't know if that's enough to get into the top 5, though.
Yeah, I think if you look at I think Frank Saravalli put out a tweet saying 16 and 17 can get you numerically into that 4 and 6 range. But I think when you look at the tiers of this draft, I don't think those 2 picks alone are good enough to get you into that top 8, because I think that's where the tier kind of changes. And I think if a guy like Hagen slips to 8 or 9, I think that those picks can work. But I don't think Philly, Boston, Seattle are trading out.
Who is that? San Jose. They got a nice little draft room there. What do you guys think of the central draft?
I don't like it. I like
With
the
a
old school, being
non-central.
on the floor with everybody, walking over to a table, making a deal, passing somebody, saying a little comment or something. I like them all in the same spot. It's a serious event. Let's keep it that way. I don't know the benefit to this.
It's weird not seeing the GM hugging the player and going on the interview thing, and watching Schaefer. I mean, that was great seeing him being all emotional. He's really easy to root for, but seeing him go up to the board with the draft table and kind of talking to Darsh was kind of weird. I don't know how much I like that.
Yeah, that's something I really hadn't thought about. When they're drafted, they just go up and see the commissioner instead of seeing guys like Danny Briere, Keith Jones, other guy, John LeClaire, guys like that. Does it make it? I mean, I'm sure it doesn't make it less special because they're going to meet those guys at some point anyway. But I would think that it adds to the holy shit. I just got drafted into the NHL. This is Danny Briere's hand I'm shaking here.
Yeah.
So it takes 3 minutes to make a pick, and then it takes 15 minutes to get to the next one, which I was we have our first guest waiting in the wings here. I wanted to wait until the second pick was made. Isaiah, if you can hang on just a few minutes there. All right, cool.
Who we got, Frondell or we got Misa?
I think the Sharks go Misa 100%. Look, if Misa ends up being a center in the NHL, that's their 2C.
You can easily bump Will Smith to wing.
Right. Yeah. Now you have option, and if you decide you want to go with
Stand up.
Sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to cut you off, but already Will Smith having some chemistry with Celebrini, so by all means.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If Will Smith doesn't work out at the center, and you want to play him with Celebrini, now you have Misa, and kind of vice versa. I think it adds versatility to the lineup. If Misa's not working out at center one night, you switch back to Will Smith. Oh, here we go. Picks coming up. Am I behind you guys, or are we at the same thing? You got Bettman.
Same thing here.
Ahead.
Okay, so I'll wait for Josh's reaction to say anything there.
Yeah, you're about 6-7 seconds ahead of me.
I don't know who this person is.
This is Bailey from wrestling. She's a longtime woman wrestler.
Ah,
I'm not a fan of this. I like wrestling, but this is kind of silly. It's the second overall pick, not the second, third round.
Nafpactos Greece. Wow. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Teodoro.
Cheers, brother.
Bailey. I feel like there's a close relationship between NHL fans and wrestling fans. I feel like if you watch wrestling, you probably watch hockey. And if you watch hockey, good chance you watch wrestling. There you go.
Smoke stream. Yeah, but yes.
Hell of a pick. And look, I don't want to start a tank debate, but if you do what the Sharks have done, you stack that roster with elite talent. Will Smith, Michael Misa, to name a few, Sam Dickinson, Macklin Celebrini. They go out and trade for a guy like Askarov. They're loaded.
The core is there. That young core is really there now. Now you build around it. You got to wait for them to develop. That's a really scary offense they got.
That's exciting stuff. I think that's a future to be excited about, And I think at that, why don't we bring in our guest here, our first guest of the night, Isaiah from O&B Puck. Isaiah, what's going on, man? Long time no see.
How you doing, guys? How you doing? I'm watching this weird presentation. It's like they walk up to the temples of Syrinx, like out of 2112. Yes.
It's interesting, right? And you've been around. You've probably watched more hockey than all three of us combined, Isaiah. Going back, earlier, I guess in the earlier 80s, the 70s, when drafts were how many rounds back then?
I don't know. I mean, they used to have 9. In fact, I'm looking it up right now. I'm glad you asked me that question.
Well, I remember seeing some guys drafted in the 13th round or something. Holy crap!
They went down to 9 in the early 2000s.
If you go way back, you these picks are pick number 258.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And how many teams were there back then? So it just tells you how many rounds there were.
Yeah,
and in 1990,
and the rounds are shrinking, and the league is expanding somehow.
I know.
So we're 2 picks in, Isaiah. We got Misa just went, obviously. Schaefer went first, so it's kind of going how we expect. But as far as Flyers go, that's really why we have you on, because your Flyers knowledge. We want to know what you think the Flyers are going to do here. What would you do? I mean, let's hear it. Pick 6 tonight. What are you kind of hoping you see happens?
Well, I want them to pick a center, and because they need a center, and it falls within the range of the talent in terms of best player available. It's all relative, right? And you have to ask yourself, okay, this has been a big need for them outside of a number 1 defenseman for so long. And when are they going to get back up here? They're going to start, they're going to start playing better, being a better team. And their draft position, unless they get a lot of lottery luck or something like that, is not going to be what's going to be right now, number 6. But how do you fill that gap? How do you get that high-end talent? So I look at what they have right now at center. And Luchenko, maybe he's like a 2.5C, depends on what level of team you have. I think all things considered, unless you have this outstanding talent like a Michkov or somebody like that, maybe you can make the argument Martone, but I would default toward getting a center.
Fair enough. And you did point out best player available in there. And so I believe I think Ansan reported on it an hour or so ago. I had mentioned just after the Zegras trade, it's kind of something that I like to do. I like to try to predict. Okay, they go out and get a guy like Zegras, who, by all accounts, they're going to see if they can get him to stick at center, right? Does that change draft plans? And should it? I don't know if it should change it in the sense where you pass over Denoyer, Frundell, Hagens at 6 just to draft Martone because now you have Zegras, right? But I guess the possibility is there. Do you have any kind of do you have a guy in this, Isaiah? Is if Frundell's there, is that your guy? Who's your guy?
Well, Frundell would be the guy. I mean, he checks a lot of boxes. He has this shot that you can count on. I mean, the worst come to worst, he can play the wing and give you a lot of what you lost out on when you let go Gauthier. I'm not going to say he's as good a shooter, but he's really good on the other side of the puck. He has a physical presence. He played against men. He played fairly well, especially toward the second half of the season. So that impressed me. He was very impressive at the combine as well. And that seemed to, inflate his stock. So outside of somebody like Schaefer, between him and Misa, to me, it would be almost like, a push. But I think that Frundell would definitely be it. But I doubt if he'll be available. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes next to, what was it, Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah. That seems to be the consensus there.
Yeah. So, but if you're talking about, if we're trying to read the tea leaves of what the Flyers might have, what kind of players might be there, I mean, to me, it's Hagens. Hagens, I can't worry about the size and things like that. The skill. The Flyers, in my long time watching the team, rarely have the Flyers had guys that had really good puck skills, had offensive vision. I mean, we had Giroux, we had a peek at what Forsberg could have been, but a lot of it before that, they had to work really hard for their goals until going back to the Lindros era, and then you had that little valley in the early 90s. So if they could get a skilled player, as long as he has some kind of B game, I think that would be my favorite pick. If he's there. I know the Islanders seem like they're trying like heck to get in the position to draft.
Well, I wonder if this is the pick where, if Chicago doesn't go Frundell here, is there a chance we see him slide? And then, of course, we got to worry about Utah and Nashville. But, recently people have been saying the draft starts at 4, because the chalk 3 picks is Schaefer, Misa, Frundell. If Chicago doesn't go Frundell here, let's say they decide to go Denoyer and they add another center. I know they have Nazar, obviously Bedard, who, look, I don't know if I'll save this take for another show when maybe we have less viewers. But you can never have too many centers. Like maybe one day you decide to move a guy out to wing, So maybe they
Will
do
Smith,
draft
you were talking about him earlier.
Yeah, for sure. All right, looks like Chicago's commissioners
Ready to rock
walking
and
to
roll?
the stage. Yeah, let's see. So here we go.
That's
Big
right.
pick here. It does seem like once they make the pick, they're doing it rather quickly, which is nice.
I'm about 7 seconds behind, so I'm going to mute you guys as soon as I see Gary walk up.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd have to introduce the
Oh, the who's going to make the pick kind of thing.
yeah, okay, JR, right?
I saw you guys. Jeremy Roenick.
Love that.
I saw you guys recently had the Don on, Isaiah. What'd you think of the Don? Prospect
He was good,
Don.
very knowledgeable.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
guy.
he's really like super. It's like a computer. The way he just
He is, and it's quick. It's like bang, bang. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
Knows
it's
his
like
stuff.
wow. He's got some AI plugged into his side or something.
I was like, this guy came out of. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's been around for a little while, but he really made the rounds this year in all kinds of markets. Like, kind of.
Oh yeah,
came out of nowhere.
very aggressive, and he had the acumen.
Knowledgeable
That's
kid.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Wasn't just marketing,
No,
I was a huge JR
Okay.
fan.
oh yeah, love that guy. I wish he was in our on our broadcast team or something.
Yeah.
For the 2025 NHL draft, the Chicago Blackhawks select from Georgia.
There you go. All right. So going as planned so far, in what was said to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
potentially one of the most unpredictable drafts.
Pretty chalk.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah,
kind of how
yeah.
it always goes every year, right?
No trades in the
I
top
think
10
the intrigue
going
is
as we
going to
thought.
start. Yeah,
Yeah. Now there's, what the
Yeah.
rumor is. Now the draft really starts. So we'll see.
yeah.
I just got to answer this real quick, Jim. I got a party going on here. I'm doing the best. I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
Teodoro asked a question earlier. This is a Michkov jersey. I know that he never wore this jersey, but I think it was like the same day or same week they announced it. I happened to be up at the skate zone and got one made. And if we can reach, how many subscribers are we on at YouTube tonight? I'll do something cool. Hang on. We are at 1256. If we reach 1,500 subscribers tonight, that's 300. That's 250 more subscribers in a night. I'll give this jersey away off my back. Game-worn jersey off my back. We'll give it away. It still has the tags on it. It's the only time I've worn it. So you'll have my stench on it and the tags if we get to 1,500 subscribers tonight.
We are officially on Brady Martin watch or trade watch at this time. Fourth overall pick.
So were you
Wait.
guys in with Brady Martin? Like, how you feel about? You think that's all a head fake, or is he's is he's rated as high as a lot of people have been saying, particularly with the Flyers and Bruins?
I think there's definitely interest on Philadelphia's part. I think they really do like him. I don't see the top 6 center in him. I see like he could be a really good top 6 winger or like a third line center in the NHL. I just don't see the offensive production enough to have him as a top 6 center. But I like the player a lot. If you're talking about like that 9 to 15 range, perfect player.
Right. To me,
I think we would love him. I think he'd be a perfect Flyer, but when you need the high end skill, taking a guy like this, like Brady Martin, this high, 4 or 6, I think you're limiting your ceiling. And based on where the Flyers are at, I think you're really putting a lot of hope in Zegras and maybe another unnamed player who has yet to come to this organization. I think you're really limiting yourself if you do that. Yes, he'll be a fan favorite. We'll love what he does, but the high end skill, I think you're really kind of saying this is our team and this is what we got, and that's not exactly what we envisioned through this retool rebuild.
So, for the sake of argument,
just ask yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because I agree with you guys, but for the sake of argument, and I know like the counter is going to be, but at pick 6, Jim, at pick 6, all of a sudden people, and I don't know if it's because we're getting closer to the draft, people want to start throwing around Mike Richards' name. A few weeks ago it was Rafi Torres. Everyone was throwing his name around. And let's just say at his absolute peak, he's Mike Richards. Let's just say. Is there an argument that what you're getting in Brady Martin and that you can help him be these things? Whereas maybe some of these skill guys, we all watched Mike Richards, played on the power play, played on the PK, played in every single situation. Can you measure a player's heart and determination and will to win and say, that's going to get us a Stanley Cup over this guy with the skill? Is there an argument there?
You could say that, but as someone who's watched Mel Bridgman, Mike Ricci, Rod Brindamore, Ron Sutter, this is like an archetype of a Flyers player, and there's a lot to recommend. But what are those players like Sam Bennett? What is he without a Barkov, Kachuk, and a Reinhart and a Verhaeghe on the same squad? And slotting him and giving him the opportunity that he's getting. So yeah, certain guys have that gene, like Danny had it, Briere had it, right? They produce in the playoffs. They're just money, and that's great. But can you get there? And the guys that have the skill and can score on the power play, something I don't even know what that looks like anymore. Forgot. I think that's the problem. I mentioned just briefly, putting the cart before the horse. Get the skill first. Because how did Florida get Sam Bennett? They traded for him. Yeah. And when other teams need that player, he never costs as much as the skill player. It just doesn't, The only thing that comes to mind is somebody like Ryan O'Reilly. If I thought he was going to be a Ryan O'Reilly and he had that kind of hockey sense, and that's a question with Martin, something that comes up, it'd be a different ballgame. But I don't put him in that category based on what others have told me and others that watch him. He could end up being a second line and winger or a third line center, like it's Josh, right? Yeah.
So great point.
I think if he had like Sam Bennett's production this year, because Sam Bennett was a 90-point scorer in the OHL in his draft year, and Martin was 71 and 50, like good, but like not eye-popping. And Sam Bennett's never put up more than 60 points in the NHL in a regular season, so I just don't see the offense there with him to be top 5, top 7. Looks like we won't be getting a trade here.
Pick is in.
Is there a trade announced, Jack?
No, it looks like the pick is in, so they're gonna roll with it.
Oh, okay. Isaiah, you cool with hanging around for this pick, and then we'll let you run?
Yeah.
All right. Pick is in. Okay, so let's see. Utah Mammoth. Josh, I'm sorry. I saw your message in the chat there. When I first saw it, I'm like, lower my TV. Like it's not adjustable. And then I'm like, oh, the volume.
No, I was I didn't mute the first pick of Schaefer, and I heard Bettman before I heard my own TV, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to mute or figure it out. But I appreciate you.
Where do you guys think who's going to be the wrench in this draft? Because there's always a player that goes, like last year it was Seneca. Who's that player this year, you think? And
I got Jake O'Brien for sure.
O'Brien. So he's got to go top 5 then.
I thought there was a chance O'Brien could slip into that 3 or 4 range with his skill and with his size, but he's one of those guys who can go anywhere. He can go from 3 to 10.
How about Mertka? Somebody loves a big right-handed defenseman.
I'm a fan. And on some recent mocks, he's kind of slipped, and I don't know why. To me, he's top 10. Because the top D in this draft are sort of few and far between. You have Merka, you have Aitchison. So, in my opinion, one of those guys is definitely going top 10. And I would agree that for me, it was going to be Aitchison. I think there's going to be a GM that just falls in love and is like, I need this guy. But I don't see how a D doesn't go like top 10 or way earlier than expected here.
We had Steve Cornianos on. Oh, okay. That's a Flyers favorite.
Oh, Finau. Okay.
All right.
They didn't do it. This throws things off a bit.
That's fine. Hagen.
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it's going pretty chalk from what we thought about a month ago.
And that would have been a player I would have liked the Flyers to get, not just because of the brother thing, but I think, he could have fit what the Flyers have going on. All of a sudden, they have a lot of skill at the wing position, and they're going to need a guy to kind of keep everything together down the middle. Denoyer would have been a guy I liked.
I think outside of the top 3, from everything I heard, I think Philadelphia would have liked Caleb Denoyer a lot too.
Yep. All right, Isaiah, before we let you go, thoughts on the pick there, and what do you think that means for the next 2?
We better hope somebody takes Martone unless you want Martone. But if they want a center,
I love a big Italian.
Cross your fingers.
That's what she said. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Hagens is still out there. 2 more picks. Nashville picks next. Isaiah, what do you got out there to promote? I mean, I'm sure if people listen to us, they listen to you. But where can they find you? And what do you got out there?
Oh, well, we're on X at OMB Puck, on Blue Sky as well. Same location. And we have a show coming up this Monday with Steve Cornianos, the draft analyst. And we're going to review everything, and hopefully the Flyers get a damn center. And I want to hear about Brady Martin, man. No. Mike Ricci, part 2.
That would be disappointing for you, huh?
I think he's a good player. We'll like him. But like Josh said, man, it's not the right time. We were at 9, 10, fine. But nah.
All right. Well, you heard it. Isaiah, thanks for taking the time to hang out. And hopefully we do this again soon.
You got it. Take care, guys.
Take care, man.
Flyers.
Yeah, there.
You got one of the best guys on Flyers Twitter there, Mr. Isaiah from the OMB Puckcast. Make sure you guys, if you're not already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Give Isaiah a follow as well. Put out great stuff over there with Chef to the left and Dan Silver. All right, so Denoyer is gone, guys. And look, I didn't really put much hope into getting players like Frundell and Misa. But Denoyer, if I made up a list of 5 guys I want at 6, Denoyer's crossed off now. He was 1.
Look at it this way. That's a guy the Flyers had at the top of their list based on who would probably be available. He's now gone. That makes Brady and Martin that much more likely. I'm not saying they'll take him, but I'm going to be nervous.
I think we all have in our gut that that's what's going to happen, right? Like we're hoping for something else, but we all kind of know like it's going to be Brady Martin at 6.
I'm gonna die. Like
I've been preparing for that mentally for a long time now.
this pick's big because this is where Higgins could go or a trade could come through. I don't see a trade happening unless maybe Barzell's involved. So this is it.
I wonder if
somehow
Nashville
they go another way, then we're really gonna have a lot to talk about.
Let me check. One thing I haven't done is, I mean, you guys have been looking at what's Nashville's center depth look like?
I mean, you got Steven Stamkos. Outside of that,
they could use a young guy, a young kid up and coming.
They need center real bad. So it's hard not to imagine they like a Jake O'Brien or James Higgins, but they've been linked to Martone a lot in the last week. So I think they're going to have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, judging by what they have, at least on Puckpedia, and Stamkos and O'Reilly aren't going to be around much longer. Look, I would not be shocked if they go Higgins, but is he the somebody help me? What's the GM's name over there again? He was the coach of the Islanders.
Barry Trotz.
I trust myself.
Is Higgins a Barry Trotz kind of player? You know, didn't he put the handcuffs on Matt Barzal out there?
That's like 5 hours.
A little bit, but they did, he did win a cup with Washington. I think from his GM perspective, people are very like eyebrow raising of his moves. So I'm really curious what they could do right now.
I wonder if this is the Jake O'Brien pick that Josh had mentioned. Maybe he's the draft buster a little bit here. And now it's between Higgins, Martone at 6. And that would, for me, I mean, content wise, that may be the best case scenario because I like Jake O'Brien. If it's between O'Brien and Martone, it would really suck. I would probably take O'Brien. I would be happy either way, I think. But Higgins, if it's between Higgins and a player and they don't go Higgins, it would set, Twitter on fire. And I don't know if I want this to be a happy night,
Dude, me too. And it's going to come down to this pick. That's for sure. By the way, does anybody else watching these interviews and feel like we're still in COVID? Like, I can't stand this. Like, this is silly.
I mean, this is basically what they did during COVID.
Exactly. I think it sucks. I hate this. I want them at the draft. I don't like this.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't heard a word of anything going on here.
I feel like they haven't really taken advantage of the decentralized thing. Like, make it, I don't know. Like, I thought there'd be a little bit more like fanfare or more like
the interviews are weird. They're turning around to a big screen. You had Mike Greer on earlier, and he's got people behind him, and they're talking like this feels like COVID. That's it. That's the only vibe I get. Is it's restricted for outside reasons. Other than that, I don't like it.
Not that these guys don't have personalities, but they're all kind of coached up to be like robots too. So they're not the most entertaining guys to listen to either. So the players, I mean, like we have Denoye up there now. Like I'd be shocked if he said something like surprising. It's just going to be, oh yeah, thank everybody. Get in on the forecheck, yada yada. Jim, what nationality are you? That's none of your damn business. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna say, I think you're pretty clear about what nationality you are. I think we all know.
Let's just say if they took Porter Martone, it would be drafting my paisan there, Teodoro. What are you doing in Greece, by the way? I feel like this is maybe the old Uncle Radko. You remember him, Jack?
You say Uncle Radko?
Yeah, Uncle Radko. I think he used to have an Uncle Radko. I don't remember ever inviting a Teodoro over my house. I remember inviting an Uncle Radko over.
Dude, they're drafting Higgins.
UI ties. I got nothing.
Even the
pick is in.
Twitter.
Oh my gentlemen, who do we want not named Higgins? Who can realistically go? Martone?
It'll be Martone or O'Brien.
What if they go McQueen here?
Good for them.
You know what? I could also see and Victor Eklund going, but they need a center. I feel like Victor Eklund is a Nashville type player.
I think McQueen is a Barry Trotz type player. Like that would make a lot of sense, especially without the injuries. I think Nashville would have loved McQueen here.
There we go.
All right, I'm
going to bring out like
you guys.
Harry Underwood or something.
Remember when Nashville used to be the defensive powerhouse, just churning out 1D every year? All right. Most important pick of the draft. Don't.
Former Flyer.
DJ said O'Brien. If it's O'Brien.
My stream cut out.
Oh my God. Just kidding. There's no way you're that far ahead of us, DJ. Jack's just showing his nutsack. Wow, you're suddenly ahead of me.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
What? Who had that on their lottery card? Here we go.
They did it. They did it.
This is
All right.
great. Let's go.
So this is crazy now.
Go, baby. Come on. Don't mess around, Danny. You can't take Denoyer. You can't take Martin. Come on. Come on.
This reminds me a whole lot of when Arizona took Dmitry Simashev. And it was just like a goosebump feeling where like the player that was never going to fall to you falls to you. And now you have the opportunity, and now Philadelphia is going to make a choice between Higgins and O'Brien, which I think the consensus was they really liked O'Brien. So we'll see here. Wow.
Fellas, I didn't think this would happen. I truly did not believe this has happened. Not only are the guys we were worried about the Flyers taking, but Higgins is gone. But Higgins is still there. I mean, come on. What other pick could it possibly be?
Yeah,
But that doesn't like freak anybody else out. Like the guy that we're so happy to get, two teams just passed on.
It's definitely. I understand his slip. I don't think it's a whole thing of him playing poorly. I think the issue was he didn't play up to that level of like Celebrini, Eichel, those guys in college who were performing at that high level that like locked themselves into those top 3 spots. He just had a good year, I think his opinion hasn't really changed for me. Like I still think he's a top 6 player and could be a first line center if all breaks right. But there is risk with a guy like Higgins.
Yeah, so there is some of that. And let me just look up because he was playing in between Perreault and Leonard, correct?
Correct.
And Will Smith put up, and I know he played with them with the U.S. National Development Team, so the chemistry was already there. Will Smith puts up 71 points between those two guys, 25 goals, 46 assists in his first and only year at Boston College. Higgins with the same wings, and I know they have to develop the chemistry, 37 points in 37 games, 11 goals, 26 assists. That doesn't worry anybody.
Pick is still not in yet.
Cutter Gauthier also had only 37 points his freshman year at
Yeah, by all means, Higgins' year was really good. It just wasn't what you want to see from a guy who is consensus number 1 coming into the year.
It's very sort of an average year. It's a good player year. It's not a future NHL star year. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you consider like he's between 2 future NHL, like for sure NHLers, Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault, and that doesn't worry you any more?
Yeah, I think NHL teams expected a lot more from him, and also the pick is in for the Flyers, so there's not going to be a trade. They are going to be selecting here at 6.
Wow, they ran up to the podium.
Yeah, pick was fast. Probably ran to the podium. Let's go, baby. James Higgins, baby.
Dude.
Jack just didn't hear any of what we just said. He just wants Higgins.
All right, I'm going to mute you, gentlemen. I'll see you on the other side.
It's got to be Higgins. So that was the quickest pick all night. My pick here would be Jake O'Brien. Did they take him? Nobody do anything because I think I'm behind you guys. Or I'll just silence you. Charles Barkley. So Charles is looking good. They just want to win. Meanwhile, you got guys making $14 million a year, $12 million a year.
Jim, I feel like you were in on this. I'm very upset.
Hang on, it didn't go off on mine yet. Oh my God! I gotta tell you, I'm happy.
They must be trading at winger at some point.
He's a
I
damn
called
good
this
player.
on Monday. I called this.
Why did Higgins have to still be available for this? That's all I'm saying.
In my opinion, they might have just gotten the best or second best offensive player in this draft in Porter Martone.
I think
I know
redraft
he wanted a center.
when you're looking back in 5 years of like who could be one of the best overall players in this draft, it's Porter Martone for
Porter
sure. I think
Martone.
his ceiling's incredible.
For me, he's a no doubt top line guy. Whereas, and look, I know there's arguments. Higgins, O'Brien, I think there's arguments that these are second line guys. Porter Martone to me is a guy that you put on your top line. He's that for me. And they need a big net front presence, a big body. He's wearing the C there. You could see for his team and his country. This could be a future captain of the Flyers. You pair this guy up with Michkov, Zegras, that's dangerous.
I'll say of all the guys in this draft, I think who are NHL ready, I think Porter Martone will be number 2 for me behind Matthew Schaefer. This is a guy who you could plug in this year. He's a physical specimen, 6'4". I want to say he's almost 200 pounds. He's just about ready for the NHL. I don't think he gets a whole lot more from playing in Brampton.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's got the NHL ready frame. Maybe, look, I don't even know. Like, does he spend time with the Phantoms? This is a guy I think you can get into the lineup pretty quick.
Guys,
if I were to
Higgins was on the board.
If
I get it. I appreciate it.
Trade back up.
I agree with what you said. Higgins was available, man.
Dude, look how mental he is.
And I really like what you said, Jimmy, about him being a captain and those things. And Higgins was on the board, man.
We still have a Zegras who may have the same career. I mean, I'm not going to say they're the same player side by side, but points wise, production wise, could be similar players.
I got to say, I'm very shocked the Flyers left O'Brien on the board. You were hearing months ago that was the guy the Flyers were eyeing. If there's a guy that thought they would take over O'Brien, I don't think it was Martone for me.
We got some
Paul, talk some sense into these guys. They're happy with the pick. I'm happy with the pick, but
I don't think there's any sense to be talked into. They just took the best player available.
Paul, tell him, Paul.
That depends who you ask.
Ask the Flyers.
Well, yeah, obviously they think it. I hope they're right.
Come on, surprise.
I mean, if we're going to talk
totally
take best player available, that's what they just did.
Are we all like the hoots for the Islanders?
I mean, that's an opinion.
If we're drafting for need, which is the center position, then you go Higgins or O'Brien. If you're taking best player available, it's Porter Martone.
I hope that's the case. I'm team best player available, so I don't mind them doing it. If that's what their board says, I'm glad they went with it. Personally, I think Higgins and O'Brien are better players, but I hope I'm wrong.
I think if you're talking about overall ceiling, I agree with Paul, but I think if you're talking about like who has the most talent, who I think is more likely to hit, like if you're asking if I think O'Brien's going to hit a ceiling or Martone becomes what I think he's going to be, I think Martone's much more likely. There's a lot of risk with Jake O'Brien, and there's a lot of risk with Higgins. I think it's a nice mix of best player available and ceiling.
Gentlemen, we are putting all our hopes and dreams on Trevor Zegras. Trevor Zegras. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Has a player ever worn 94 in Philadelphia before?
I don't know, actually. The only person that's coming to mind in the 90s is Roenick and Zherdev.
Are there? You have to remember.
That's a good question. I'm going to look.
Trade up again.
Wow. And San actually hinted at that before the draft. I think it was Mark Gregg that kind of slipped with that they were thinking about going wing. They get size. They get size and skill. And as we see in the playoffs, that matters.
I think
guys, you're gonna love this. I got the one player who wore number 94 for the Flyers. Can anybody want to take a quick guess? Oh, I gave it away in the chat.
Ryan
Ellis. Ryan Ellis.
I have the fucking jersey in my closet.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Go get that number.
All right, so last 3 first-round picks. We got Martone. We have Luchenko last year. We have Michkov, and then obviously Bonk went later in that draft. So the last 4 first-round picks, all pretty damn good under Briere so far. Or so we think.
I got to see where Higgins goes.
You guys are so hung up on Higgins.
So now the narrative I wasn't pushing, that Porter Martone is a Kachuk light, I am now going to push because it fits my narrative.
Push it.
I want to say he led the OHL in fights. He's a rough
I think
kid.
he had 10 fights.
I think you got to embrace what he is, not push the Kachuk narrative. He's got a lot of upset or a lot of positives, but I don't see the Kachuk.
No.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No. Big body scoring winger.
Yep.
Does
Nothing wrong with
Boston
that.
just say fuck it and go Roger McQueen here?
He's got to improve his skating.
I'm gonna lower my TV just in case I'm ahead of anyone.
So we're just about an hour in, and that's what, 5 picks?
6.
6 picks? All right, so now things get really interesting. So we got Higgins, O'Brien. Megan Schaefer still likes McQueen.
Big fan of Adam Sandler. That's cool. Yeah.
Is it Adam Sandler? I don't know about that, Adam. The Happy Gilmore 2 movie. I feel like that's going to be like just stick to the one. From what I've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to be that great. Oh, there you go. Higgins goes right after.
That's tough.
Right after, just like everybody I ever want. Everybody I want, and the Flyers pick, and then the guy goes just after. Every time.
We you know what we should do? We should put a just after team together for the Flyers. It was Bouillon last year, Higgins this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm saying that the highlight.
God, man. Can you believe this?
What I'm thinking is
I like Martone too. I truly do. More than Martin.
1 through 3.
But my God.
I'm gonna say now. I think Martone and Higgins. If you're looking at who has the highest scoring single season, I would put my money on Martone.
Yes.
Just in
Who's
terms of
going to play
points.
center?
Sounds like a
Who's going to play number one center
that
for
I
this
would.
team?
There's no guarantee that Higgins is a 1C. He
You
didn't
don't know till you
perform like
try.
he didn't perform like a 1C even this year at Boston College.
Everything you said, Jim, is 100% correct.
He was their
100%.
1C, and they made the Elite Eight.
I get what
Yeah.
Jim means.
They
Though.
made
He,
the Final Four.
he
didn't
Right,
they?
so I'm just
Across
like,
the board, yeah.
he wasn't a number one prospect kind of guy. He didn't put up those
yeah, they
numbers.
didn't miss out on, I mean, I don't know.
I think it's
It's a
debatable.
funny draft. We've all said that. We were the first team. Well, no, I think Nashville was the first team to make the funny
Like-
move pick. But
They need guys.
we're going with Zegras and Luchenko. That's what this tells. I mean, sure, we
Well,
can get somebody later, but what's the
Next
deal
year.
with that guy?
Couturier next year.
You got the
Well,
eventual
next year.
trade-off.
I mean, when we actually try to win a cup.
Yeah.
If you're comparing his first year at BC with Will Smith and them, I think it's worth mentioning that those guys were in their draft plus one season, where Higgins was in his draft year.
Yeah, that's
So it
fair.
might be
Sure.
more fair to compare this upcoming season with those numbers.
Sure. And we saw with a guy like Gauthier who put up similar numbers to Higgins in his first year in school. And then next year kind of exploded a little bit there. 37 points in his first season for Gauthier and then exploded for 65 the next.
Yeah.
So it's possible. He's not going to have the same wings next year, which
I think
we'll
will
see.
actually help him.
Okay.
I think stylistically it wasn't a great fit. He played he played a lot better when he was with Teddy Stiga.
So, having the right guys around you matters.
Definitely.
Thank you for taking me, he said. Now, the Boston guy goes to Boston.
So I think Jack's Seattle getting rid of Merca dream is still alive.
I called it
But you're
just like I
winners
called
are-
Higgins to the Flyers, and you know how that went.
I love it.
Well, we were talking earlier that Merca could be the one that goes top 10. We haven't seen it. I mean, things have kind of gone pretty close to playing here.
Seen him out to the Flyers a lot. I mean, Flyers. To the Seattle a lot. Seen that in a lot of mock drafts. He's there. Do I
I'll
see
tell
him
you
go to
what.
Brian? Nah.
We've seen that Higgins was going to slip, but I didn't really believe it. I still thought he was going to go top 5. And even then, I was like, well, he's not going to get past 6, right? So he slipped pretty significantly from where I think we thought he was going to go.
Yeah, just enough. He flipped just enough. And, doesn't matter.
How far do you think a Jake O'Brien could slip?
Yeah, right.
As long as it's not the Pittsburgh is what we agreed on,
Yeah,
right?
I think Pittsburgh's probably the floor or the furthest he could fall.
I can't imagine him going
I
outside
think
the
he'd be a
top 10.
great pick for Pittsburgh, so I hope he doesn't get there.
Who picks
Unbelievable.
after Seattle here?
Buffalo?
Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't really know what Seattle does, but how far can you let another
They need a
center slide,
defenseman.
right?
It's true. I can see Buffalo taking him, and then maybe those Tage Thompson rumors are a little bit more legit.
Yeah.
Anyone surprised by the lack of trades, or is it kind of what we all expect from draft
Top
day?
10,
The
top
same
10,
thing
right?
every year.
They get us every time, don't they? They get us every time.
This is the year we could see movement, just like we hear every year. It's like Toronto. Like, this team looks different this year.
Like, I don't know how Caleb Lidstrom's going to flyer at this rate. Like, that's how much I was sold last year on movement in the top 10. And I hook, line, and sinker. You get excited, and at the end of the day, nothing happens.
Yeah, no trades yet, and we're almost done here. I mean, at least we're done the top 10 almost. He's got a great first name. The last James they've had on the team, I think, was Van Riemsdyk, who put up the
Could have been
shame a little
Higgins.
bit. Could have been.
Go in second.
Yeah.
If they.
So Porter Martone allegedly has a closed Giroux poster in his basement.
Yeah.
I think McQueen. I think
That's good
McQueen's
news.
hard shot.
No.
I just hope that they
Past tense, I had a James Higgins, one of mine. So if we were to think when the first possible trade up could be, what number are you thinking? Because I don't think it's in the top 10.
Who's that? McQueen.
Maybe
Pittsburgh has
I think Pittsburgh back to back. There's some potential there.
Mike Room agrees with that.
All right. So we continue on here. Pick 8.
Jim, real quick.
Cutter was a
I'll sneak this in because they're going to have a celebrity. Do you think Martone's interview may have put him over Hagens for the Flyers?
Tough to say because I didn't see it.
Think about what we just heard about the poster. It's like, did he sell himself?
Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, dude, look at the Flyers roster and think about what they don't have. What if we? I'm not saying they drafted him purely on size because this kid has skill, like legitimate top line skill. But he's big, 6'3", over 200 pounds. He's already built into his NHL body, into his man body. Like, now you coach him up, you get him going. Paul mentioned his skating a couple weeks ago. Flyers are kind of synonymous, at least around these parts, with drafting guys who can work on their skating. You can use Bobby Brink as an example. The guy skates his ass off now. So maybe it's something they could work on with Martone. I don't know if it had to do with the interview. I mean, I don't believe anything that I see when it comes to interviews. I'm like, oh, they're interviewing this guy, the smoke screen. Like, who knows what to believe? I think they're genuinely happy. I tweeted it out on Monday. I think the Zegras trade maybe put in their head, well, we have a guy that we want at center.
Paul, what did you say to me earlier when I was like, oh, if they take Martone, I'll probably be okay with it. But acquiring Zegras, maybe that changed their mindset or something. What did you say to me?
I don't remember exactly what I said to you. I said I hope it doesn't change their mindset.
That's exactly what you said.
You said they should be drafting like that.
Acquiring Zegras should not change what they do at 6. Acquiring Zegras should not change what they do at 6.
What is Paul the authority on this whole matter here?
It may not.
No, God, no.
It may not have changed their thinking. He might have been the top of their board anyway.
Well, that's just it. Did they have Martone above Hagens I'm going to catch some flack for this, but positional need at center? Because again, we're coming back around to let's roll with Zegras and Luchenko.
I mean, you guys are always advocating take BAP, and that's what they just did.
You got me, according to them, but yes, you got me there.
According to the Flyers,
exactly.
Yes, the NHL team that we all watch with the scouts.
Who hasn't won a cup in 50 freaking years?
Like, all we're doing is watching what they're doing. Like, WTF.
They gotta trust their scouts, and he's top of the board. So that's a pick they should make. Whether they're right on it, we'll see. But
Jim, you're right. Paul, you're right. Jim, Paul, you're right. But this is a team that has not won a cup in quite some time. And the last 10, 12 years has been rough.
So draft for position at 6.
You're such a jerk, I swear.
You're just contradicting everything that you ever say about the draft, though.
Hagens was the best player available. That's what I'm saying.
Oof.
No, not in disagreement.
It's going to be tight, though. These guys are going to be connected for quite some time.
In agreement, but there's a lot of people that think Martone's best available.
It's close enough where I'm not going to lose my mind. And I really do like Martone. But when Hagen's available, that's when I'm having a trouble. Last time this happened, it was York versus Caulfield. How'd that turn out?
I think we all would have probably agreed back then that they
same guy doing a draft.
Caulfield.
Just saying. Same draft guy, Brent Flair. Just saying.
If you want to argue about Brent Flair, I'll be in agreement with you there.
Jack, I feel like you're switching gears on Brent Flair here.
I mean, where I should tag you in, right?
No, I think you got it right now.
Look, it's not like they took somebody I didn't want. York was like ranked later in that draft. Martone's picked right around where he should be picked, if not later. The same with Hagens. It came down to preference for me.
Yeah.
If you can't say BPA and then say take the position you need as well. So I can't have my cake and eat it too. Well, for me, that was the best player available. However, I think we're going to love Martone. The size, it's the closest thing to Kachuk. But I'm worried about what we're going to do at center. I mean, I love Zegras as well, but I don't think he's the guy.
Why do you think that Hagens is worlds better than Zegras?
Not world. but you got to roll the dice. You
But
have
why does it make you angry though that we have Zegras and not Higgins?
we have wingers for days, and we need
Clearly, the
centers.
plan is they're going to try to make that work with Zegras.
Well,
though.
until I see that. Until I see them move out some guys and bring in some other guys. And look, they did acquire Zegras, which made this easier to take. But based on who was available, it was very like, wow. Based on who was available.
But like if we're projecting, right? Because that's all we're doing. Because Higgins has never stepped foot in an NHL rink. Like he's never played for an NHL team before. If we're projecting, I mean, who's to say? Because I think that he has a similar career to Trevor Zegras, and at least points wise. If we want to nitpick their games, that's fine. But points wise, which is why I thought we wanted Higgins, right, for offense, and why I think we should be fine with Zegras here. I think they're going to put up similar numbers throughout their career.
You may be absolutely correct on that. You can't, like, we've seen Zegras put up 60 points in the NHL. Higgins is all projection right now.
Right.
The only thing I guess you can compare is Trevor Zegras' draft plus 1 year at BU was about what Higgins did this year in his draft year at BC. So I would say he's on a better trajectory, but he's put up 60 points twice in the NHL. So who knows what Higgins turns into? Yeah,
and before he turned like 23 or something like that. I think he's 24 now or something. And look, he's got to do it again. Like sure, there's proof that he can do it. But he's got to do it again. And it was clear that he wasn't happy in Anaheim. He wasn't happy playing out on the wing. Flyers are going to give him a shot at center. They have wingers that I think, he's going to help the wingers out. And the wingers, like guys like Michkov, Konechny, Tippett, they're going to help even elevate Zegras' game, So, I don't know. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Trevor Zegras is the center of the future. Pencil it in now because we got to see it. But, let's see that. They just drafted a really good top line. Look, hopefully a top line guy in Martone if everything goes correctly. The last top line guy they drafted was Michkov, right? Because I think if you want to argue about Luchenko, I think, look, he's probably a 2C, right? In my opinion, we're talking about a top line talent without doubt for me in the NHL and Porter Martone. Top 6 winger, no doubt. Top line, I think, is most likely.
And he's got that. He's the closest guy to Kachuk, I guess, you could have, which we've been clamoring for, so I can't complain. But you mentioned, he might have the same amount of points Higgins would as, a Zegras, but I think they're two totally different players when it comes to offense. Zegras is a highlight reel style of player, where Higgins, I think, would be perfect to play with Michkov. I think he's more of a playmaker, would bring more of these goal scoring out of Michkov. I think those two together could have really done some magic. I'm not saying Martone can't, but I don't know about Zegras, and that's where I scratch my head, and I hope for the best. He obviously had 2 60-point seasons at 21 and 22, and we're hoping he can revert back to that. But to put it all on that,
It was a win-win.
it's tough for me. I think the tier was close enough where you could have taken the positional need, and here the Buffalo drafting for all shut up.
I had Higgins over him, but at 6, it's just you're getting too good of a talent to pass on best player available. I feel like I know we need centers and all, but if they really think Martone is better, you got to.
Yeah.
By they, you mean Brett Flair. I'm just saying.
Brett Flair's a tyrant now. He's running the whole board.
Jake O'Brien went to Seattle, eh? They didn't.
Yeah.
I think the lowest I've seen him mock to was 8. So
I'm glad he's not going to Pittsburgh, so I'll take that pick. I'm okay. And here goes Merca to the Buffalo State. Are you behind me? I'm so sorry.
yeah, I mean, it
I
does seem like.
mocked him to Buffalo yesterday, Jack.
Oh, there you go. I mean,
Going with another right shot team, man.
So I won't blame him on
Look,
that.
at the end of the day, it's not this whole Flyers fiasco. It's not the same as Caulfield and York because they still got a damn good player who kind of still fell to them. They've still got a hell of a player, so I'll live with that. I couldn't believe Higgins was there and they didn't choose him.
If it's any solace, I can't remember the last time Boston had a good draft pick, so maybe it won't be a good player.
Yeah, I think 2016 maybe Pasternak. Or no, that was 14. Never mind.
Porter Martone is amazing.
I'm sure there's
So
one
we
or two
are-
in there, but you go through their drafting history and it's pretty ugly. This Jim's boy though.
Jim, tell me the truth. Who did you want at that pick, though, before it was picked? Did you want Martone? Or were you just like, I don't care, they're getting a good player?
I wanted Martone or O'Brien. I think I said before the pick was
Over
actually
Hagen?
made that I wanted
Okay.
O'Brien. Yeah.
Okay.
He said Martone.
Would have been happy with O'Brien too.
Yeah. And look, I wouldn't have been upset with Hagen's. Not at all. But, everyone has their guys. Really, I got to tell you, like when I watch these drafts anymore, even when the Flyers traded back and didn't draft Bouillon, I wasn't upset, right? Like Bouillon's very good in college. Do I see him as a top line D in the NHL? Honestly, I don't.
Nah,
I
I'm
see him
with
as a
you on
second
that.
pair guy. So it's
I
like,
agree.
yeah, did I miss out on the guy that I wanted? Yes, but they didn't miss out on a top pair defenseman. You know what I mean?
I didn't have a strong opinion on that pick. Like even coming into it, I think I wanted Hellenius, but I might have even wanted Musty at that point. I had Musty ranked like top 10. But either way, I didn't have like a strong opinion on it, so I just couldn't be super upset about it.
Right. And that's
And I
kind of
agree
how
with your take on Boyum. So
that's kind of how I feel when I watch these things. Like if they would have skipped somehow over Michkov, then I would have been irate.
Right.
But when I watch these, I'm like, you know what? These are all young kids. Let's see what happens now. You know what I mean? Like obviously they've watched these guys and they know a lot more than I do. So let's see how things play out.
I'm
Now in
super
3-4 years, if
on
things go
Martone,
south
so.
on Martone, then I'll go, well, you had Hagen sitting right there. What the hell were you doing? But right now, I'm like, you know what? They need a big scoring winger, and they haven't really had a guy like that. And look, I'm not going to say that Martone is like Simmons in the sense that he has that same grit. Because from what I've watched of Martone, he's not very physical in the corners, not very physical around goal, which I think maybe you can teach that. But I kind of see him, at least offensively, as, I don't know, maybe like a Wayne Simmons type guy with a little bit more skill, softer hands, better hands. It's a guy you can put around the goal. Like the Flyers don't have a presence in front of the goal on the power play, you know?
Yeah, you should definitely add a nice element in front of the net.
He did really good, like in that like behind the net area and like in the trap. So him and Mishkov on a power play is going to be really fun.
There you
if
go.
nothing else.
Yeah, like let's hope it pans out.
Of course.
So right now, center-wise, they're looking at Zegras, Couturier, Cates, and really just toss anybody in there on the at the fourth line center. But fortunately or unfortunately, that could be what we're looking at for the next foreseeable future, unless because they just signed Cates. And I don't think they're moving him to the fourth line anytime soon.
No, I'm sure they're still exploring the trade market. I think it's pretty obvious they know they need more centers. I don't think Zegras solves everything.
No.
But like, we go back to the best player available thing. Even if they took Hagens, you're not seeing him until 2027, maybe. Maybe he gets in next year, like at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But that's best case scenario. He's probably at least 2 years away. So like, it's not the NFL or NBA. These guys take some years.
That's probably most of these guys too. Yeah. I would be like Schaefer's definitely not in the NHL next year. I don't think. Who went to Misa? I don't know if he's NHL ready yet.
Yeah.
So I'd be shocked. I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to do it. Maybe give a guy a shot for 6 games or whatever. But I don't.
If I had to guess who that player was, I think it would be Martone.
Yeah.
I just don't know if any of those other guys are quite ready, like physically yet. They may be skill wise, but like they're not physically ready for the NHL yet. I don't think Martone is exactly, but I think there's a chance he could.
He needs to improve his skating though. I don't think he can keep up in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm also a little bit of the minority on him, but I thought he was lazy at times in games, and I would like to see him, address that a little bit.
Martone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, it just kind of looks like he's watching the play.
Yeah.
Yep, I've seen that.
I'd like to see him
How
get a
much
little
do you
more
think-
involved. He's got the size and skill. Like the package is awesome. Would like to see him be a little more involved, a little more dog in him.
How
Yeah,
much do you think that changes from the Canadian Hockey League to the NHL? Like, do guys just lock in when they get up there? Like when you're a high skill player in the Ontario Hockey League, like I think there are times where you can drift or play slower or whatnot. But do you think that changes when these guys get to the NHL?
I don't think it's that easy to just turn it on. I think guys kind of have it or don't. I mean, you can get better at it, but I don't think it's as simple as just like, oh, I'm so much better here, but I'll do what I have to do when it's in the NHL. I think that's a little bit more of an adjustment. Where do we think Anaheim's going with this?
So a lot of mocks had him going McQueen, but Victor Eklund is still out there.
I'd have to say Victor Eklund, get a replacement. I don't think they've had a winger like that since Jakob Silverberg.
Bobby Ryan.
Legend.
Jackson Smith still there. He's kind of the wild card in a lot of the mocks that I've seen. Like he started out top 10 in a lot of drafts and then slipped 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I feel like
Josh and I are high on him.
I feel like
Jackson-
Anaheim has a whole lot of defense already. Like they have a lot of good young defensemen. But I mean, it never hurts to add to that.
I don't know if you guys
do want to add still.
I saw something that they might consider that they would. Somebody said they were
Zellweger,
considering
right?
shopping Zellweger. Yeah, and I mean I didn't see anything else
I did
about
see
that. It
that.
was one account. I didn't follow up on that or anything. I don't care about the Anaheim Ducks, and it's not. I don't know if the Flyers are going to trade for a third player from the Ducks.
I hate the orange everywhere.
You got a nice relationship with them apparently. Yeah, Josh and I are high on Jackson Smith, but there's people that hate his hockey sense, hate his decision making. So he could go anywhere from here to 30.
Who is that?
Wow.
Wow.
Don't say it yet.
They did it.
It's not all that shocking.
Saw them linked to him a couple times. Like you said, it's not hugely surprising, but
A lot in like the
I
last
wasn't
week.
sure how
I've been
far
hearing
he'd fall.
his name a lot to Anaheim. I don't know if I'm happy or mad Pittsburgh doesn't get him.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
good point.
I don't.
I
know,
would have
like,
been happy just
he's
because I
such
have
a
him ranked
unicorn.
pretty low, but if he does hit, obviously.
Yeah, like it's one of those things as like a negative Flyers fan. It's like, oh, he goes to Pittsburgh. He's number one, staying healthy. Number two,
Right.
reaches his ceiling. So like, if all that goes right, I'm happy he's not a Penguin. But man, now they got to look
But
at.
the chances
Oh my
of it going
God,
right
that's
are not
the guy
that
on TV in the Fowler jersey right there was the captain of my beer league hockey team. That is my buddy Bill. Holy shit!
Shout out, Bill. All right, so Seneca last year, McQueen this year, two Twin Towers now at forward for Anaheim.
That's hilarious. I got to send him a text.
Beer League Bill.
Cutter's not the smallest guy either.
Gauthier. They're deep down the middle, man.
Leo
So now they have
Carlson's, what,
three guys
6'2",
down the middle.
6'3"?
So Carlson, I wonder if this means no. It's too early to think
McTavish.
about McTavish because it's going to take McQueen a couple years to get going there.
Yeah.
But Carlson, McTavish, and McQueen now.
It's making Gary look pretty tiny.
Doesn't he look like the villain in that what's that movie with all the little yellow guys?
The Minions
Yeah.
or the
Doesn't he look like him?
Despicable Me, is that what it is? Yeah, he does kind of. I think you're right.
All right.
These zooms are brutal.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
You got other guests coming on, Jim?
Yeah, I do have I have a few guys. Let me I have a gentleman by the name of Ryan Thompson coming on. Have you guys seen any of his stuff on Twitter? He's been putting out some prospect videos, some good analyst videos. I think he's he started a fairly new, I don't know if it's podcast or blog called the Broad Street Breakout. He'll be joining us in a little bit here. I think I want to get him on around pick 15, 16. So he can hang out a little bit before the Flyers make another pick. They do have 2 more tonight.
Yes, as of now.
Yeah, as of now. It'd be nice if they traded 2 for 1 and ended this thing a little sooner. By the time that 31st overall pick comes around.
Dude, I don't necessarily think it does, but do you think it changes, I don't know, what they would do a little bit? Because they took a winger, now they have 3 picks. They can take a center and a defenseman instead of trading up for
I would love
one
for them.
or the other kind of thing.
You know who I want, Paul? I want 2 guys. I want Kashawn Aitchison, who I don't think is definitely not going to be there at 22. The other guy that I really, really want is Cole Reshney. Like, I want him bad. Like, this is a guy I remember talking to a couple scouts before this season started. Was Cole Reshney. He was like the one of the bigger names I think a lot of people were talking about. And now I think in most drafts now, he's going mid-teens, maybe early 20s.
I love Cole Reshney.
Yeah, he fell off a little bit and kind of came back within the last few weeks, but that's a guy that I would be targeting. Like, if I could trade 2 picks and move up into the top 15 again, I would take him as early as 15. Like, I want him.
Yeah, I think I have him. Where do I have him ranked? I think I have him ranked at 14.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. Kashawn Aitchison, I'm a little lower on. But at 22, I have no problem with him.
Aitchison's just a guy that, for me, like, I feel like he's the kind of guy where you're going to jump out of your seat and be excited some nights, and on other nights you're going to be like, "What the hell, man? Like, what were you thinking there?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, I question his hockey sense a bit and his reads. But if he hits, you get a big hitter, guy who has got a bomb of a shot. I know you love a good point shot.
I love a point shot.
So the highlights, he probably is one of the better highlight packages for defensemen.
Yeah, those are the 2 guys. If I had to pick, like, who I'm going to trade up for, those would be the 2. Do you have any guys in mind there?
I mean, I have Jackson Smith and Lakovich, both as top 10 ranked guys in my board. I don't think there's any chance they would trade up for Lakovich and go trade up for a winger after taking Martone. Jackson Smith, I could see, although he's been linked to Pittsburgh a little bit lately, so we'll see if he makes it by these picks. Outside of that, like, I do love Cole Reshney, but I might be okay with just kind of seeing where it falls. There's a lot of guys that I think there will be somebody I like a lot, whether it's a Reshney or Kindell, Colin Potter. I think one of those guys will be there 22 that I don't know that I would move assets to move up for them.
Okay.
Yeah, Jackson Smith for sure. If he continues if he gets like in that 13-14 range, he's a prime target for me.
There's definitely okay, what were you going to say, Josh?
You got to hope Pittsburgh prefers Aitchison personally.
They have 2 picks back to back now, right?
I actually think Aitchison is decent chance. I've
they've
heard
been
they
linked to
want to
him.
get tougher and bigger. So
Eventually, they're going to lose Letang. Sounds like they're shopping Carlson around.
Yep.
Dubas has them in. I mean, they're. I don't know. What he's saying and what they're doing seem to be sort of two different things. Made the weird trade deadline move, but I think he really is trying to rebuild there. He's retooling the prospect pipeline. That's for sure.
they got a
With
long way
lot
to
of
go.
the deals. They do. They do.
That prospect cupboard is barren right now.
Yeah.
You guys see Kevin Weeks keep tweeting out pictures of different teams and cities?
I saw the one that was were they the mountains in Colorado?
Yeah, he posted the Denver skyline, and he just tweeted a picture of the Islanders logo.
Are they getting Barzell?
Huh.
There's been too much smoke. Since the Coyle trade, I've been seeing like vague tweets about Colorado making a big move.
I mean, they cleared up some space. That team's been hunting for a center since Kadri left, and they've never been able to get a 2C.
You have Biz trying to will Sidney Crosby to Colorado, which I don't know if that will ever happen. And it just wouldn't.
Kids got slow here.
It wouldn't feel right either if Crosby was ever traded.
I prefer when they bring out like NHL legends to make the picks because they get to the point so much quicker than celebrities.
Oh no!
Wow, Paul, I'm so sorry, bud.
Took my boy.
Did they take who'd they take?
I can't tell you yet.
You guys are way ahead of me. I don't know what happened here.
Sorry, I would have held the reaction. I was just
I have
surprised at that one. And he's like one of my 3 or 4 like guys I love in this draft.
Your boys keep going to teams that we cannot stand. That's definitely off the board, but good for him. That's awesome.
Oh, look, this is kind of funny. So Alex Appleyard just kind of, I think, described Martone perfectly here, where he says Martone is more closer to a Blake Wheeler and a Rantanen if everything goes well. He also used Wayne Simmons as a comparison on the power play.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
I mean, if Martone turns into a Rantanen, like, come on,
I mean,
you know, which I think that's fair because I don't think Rantanen has that snarl that Brady Tkachuk has to his game. I never really understood the Brady Tkachuk comp. Like when you watch those two play together, like Tkachuk almost looks for confrontation, where I don't see that in Martone as much.
Jim, did you get to the pick already?
Yeah, Benjamin Kindle. You guys like that guy?
I like him. Paul loves him.
That's one to Pittsburgh.
So now, I mean, you have to think they take a choice of the defenseman left unless they're going to double up, maybe take a Lakovic. Is Victor Eklund still there?
Sure is.
Wow.
You believe that?
I mean, I think when you look back on this draft in a few years, he's going to be one of the better players all around. He's just the talk about him was just he's a luxury pick. You know, he's a small winger, but he's going to be a damn good player, great motor.
Absolutely, yeah.
I say the highest compete in the draft.
Like maybe a Konechny type guy.
Mm-hmm. I want to say he or someone compared him to Konechny.
Oh, get out, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trade coming. Pittsburgh's moving
down.
All right, first trade of the night. Imagine if they made a deal with the Flyers.
When was the last time Pittsburgh and Philly ever made a trade?
I feel like I remember this.
I was going to say Peter Straka, but I think that was the Devils.
I feel like, did the Flyers trade Leclerc to Pittsburgh or he signed there? I know Recchi was involved with the trade between Flyers and Pittsburgh, correct? But I feel like there's a sooner trade. Talbot signed with the Flyers after leaving Philadelphia, right? He wasn't traded from Pittsburgh to Philly?
No, yeah, he was a free agent. Wow, Philadelphia traded up. 22 and 31 to move up to 12.
Did I just call that?
We traded up.
Yep, Philadelphia traded both first-round picks to move up to 12.
Give me Jackson Smith, Josh.
Wow, this is exciting. So you got Jackson Smith, Lyndon Lakovich, Braden Coots, Carter Bear.
Did I just call this draft?
Jim,
I don't
that's good
think
shit.
it could
Paul,
be
what are you
Coots because
thinking?
he's the center, or Cole Resney.
Dude, get your guy,
but
man.
I think Jackson Smith's a potential top pair defenseman. He's got some head scratching decisions he's got to work out, but I think the upside on Jackson Smith is really high. He's my
Paul,
number
what's your
2 defenseman by a
what's
pretty
your
good margin.
opinion here if they pick Aitchison over Smith? Not to get negative with it.
I'll be very, very sad.
I feel so bad because I'm gonna be ecstatic, dude, if they go
If they-
Aitchison.
The problem, though, I mean, one, I have Smith rated a lot higher, but also it's just the fact that they would trade up for it.
Yeah.
But
But that's what you do when you want to get your guy.
Oh, for sure. I think Smith's a lot better.
Victor
Yeah, I
Eklund
mean,
would be
maybe it
like a
is.
luxury pick, but I mean, you can't deny his talent.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go wrong with Eklund here. He's top 10 talent for sure.
As sad as we do think they are on D, they do need to draft more D.
I love that Chris Letang is
Wow,
still
they
up
moved
there as
both
they're
firsts
announcing
for
it's
it.
yeah.
To
I mean, you're
Pittsburgh.
moving up 12 spots.
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess this kind of crosses off the possibility of both Reshney and
The top center.
What's up, buddy?
I'm sorry. I saw it happen.
So they traded both first rounders.
Gentlemen, what do you think?
To get up.
We're excited.
I hope it's Jackson Smith. Really hope
That's
it's
what,
Jackson
that,
Smith.
or I don't really see them trading him for Carter Bear, but Jackson Smith is
They're
what I
being
think,
fucking
and I called it
aggressive.
all week.
They're being
All right,
He did.
nobody's saying anything.
Give me
Yeah, I think
Jackson
you guys
Smith.
are way ahead of me. Oh wait, this is the first
Three?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
pick.
Jim, nothing's happened yet. Nothing's happened yet.
Sorry, last first round.
We were just saying, when's the last time Pittsburgh and Flyers made a trade? So I just saw the trade alert with Letang on stage. Are you guys way ahead still?
Way ahead.
Yeah, way
All
ahead
right,
of you.
so
But
when
no
it goes
pick, but
down,
no pick.
You can't say anything when it happens.
I mean, it'd be fun to go to Penn State games watching Jackson Smith.
Hell yeah.
and potentially Gavin
And
McKenna.
their third round pick, Charlie Serrato.
I love that. It opens up a lot of options. I mean, I can't see them going back to wing
I heard it's
after going Martone. You know, you got to think it's got to be center. It's got to be defense. There's
Yeah,
just
I can't see
there's
it being a winger. I mean, Eklund's probably best available, but I just can't see it being a winger.
yeah, unless they really believe in like a Carter Bear being a center, or like if they really see the potential in Braden Coots, which I personally do, but I don't see anyone better than Jackson Smith at best available right now. But Philly likes the reaches. They like to listen to the scouts, so not easy to
It's
predict.
gonna be Logan Hensler.
Wasn't I just talking
No,
shit on
come
if
on.
he was a right winger, would he even be this high?
You were, but ever since you said that, I've actually gotten higher and higher on him.
I like him. I think he'll
I
be
think
a
he's a good
solid
player.
defenseman. Just
I wouldn't
don't
trade
know
up
about
to 12 for him, but
How mad would you guys be if they traded the 12 for Aitchison?
Wouldn't love that.
I won't love
I
it.
think that might be the pick. I don't know how I, feel
told
about
you
it.
this was where
I don't
the
hate it.
Flyers.
I like there's a lot of guys on there. Like even Eklund being there, like I don't know. How far can he really slip? I know he's a wing, but I think there's a strong argument that he's the most talented player on the board right now, no?
I think you're 100% right. But I just can't imagine them trading
Going
two
back-to-back
firsts for
wing and
another
wing.
wing, you know?
Yeah.
Especially a
I got to
smaller
log
one.
off, guys. I don't want to give anything away.
Thank you. Pick is in or no? I think I just heard it in the background from somebody there. All right, nobody do anything. Are they on stage for you guys?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
They're bringing out an eagle to announce the pick.
PG. Big fan.
All right, I'm putting everybody on mute for a minute.
Come on, baby.
Aggressive.
Who's this Sam?
Selection into the Flyers. The record holder for most regular season games played as an Eagle and two-time Super Bowl champion, Brandon Graham. So quickly, two-time Super Bowl champions. Philadelphia Flyers, I'm telling you, they making great picks right now. Just want to say, with the 12th pick in the NHL draft, Philadelphia Flyers selected Jack Nesbbit.
You feel that over there? Not good. Not good. Not good.
So they go center. Jack Nesbitt, big center.
I could tell.
Yo, what the hell's going on? This is unbelievable.
Dude,
I drafted him at 22 and I got shit.
I
They
mean,
get their guy.
I'm pretty high on Nesbitt, but I'm not this high on Nesbitt.
Would you trade 2 first-round picks and move up for Jack freaking Nesbitt with who's still on the board? Carter Bear, Cole Resney, Braden Coots, Kayshawn Atchison, Jackson Smith. And what reality are we in right now? I cannot believe this. This is like a nightmare scenario.
I can absolutely believe that they love Nesbitt. I cannot believe they.
Why
couldn't
did they
wait
have
till
to trade
12.
up for him? They just took Roger McQueen for Christ's sake.
This feels just like Luchenko, where like I do like this player. I think he's going to be good, but like you didn't have to move this high unless they know more than I do. So maybe other teams loved him too.
I mean, the word coming into the draft was he was going to go top 20. I just was really hoping it wouldn't be us taking him top 20 because I don't think he's a top 20 player.
Would you give up 2 first-round picks for him?
No, I wouldn't give up one for him.
I'll tell you what, he looks damn good tonight in that brown suit. Great choice.
Just like where's the highest anyone had Nesbitt knocked? I don't
Well,
feel
Jim,
there's
if you didn't
anywhere
like
in this.
Hagen's being a point per game player in college, how do you feel about a guy not being a point per game player in the OHL?
Yeah, interesting. Is he one of those guys that's one of the younger ones in the draft? Because I know we were talking about Horkoff being that guy.
And he's got some filling out to do, and
yeah. So if I had to convince myself into what they see or try to put myself in their position, I think they see a player that already has an NHL frame, NHL body.
for sure, yeah.
Maybe they can get him up to speed, give him another year in the OHL, and I don't know. I guess he's a guy that ends up going to. Does he go to college? I'm not sure how things go with that anymore.
Yeah, he could. I haven't heard his name linked to anything, any
I
college.
don't have any reason to not believe.
Not only did you trade 2 first-round picks, you gave those 2 first-round picks to the Pittsburgh Penguins
But if they
and drafted Jack Nesbitt, who, Paul, I drafted him at 22 and how'd that go over? Like a fart in church. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? With all those other names on the board, I know you want to get big, but at what cost? At what cost do you want to get big? For Christ's sake.
I'd be shocked if he becomes anything more than a 3C.
See, I don't quite agree there. I think tools wise, he's got that 2C upside, but the skating's got to get way better.
He does have underrated hands and soft skill. I will give you that, but I don't know. I don't
Let's
think
see,
it's
you have
good enough to. He was ranked around 50 for me. I think it's 49.
I have him ranked 19th. You got him at 49.
Like I said, I had heard coming into the draft that he was going to go top 20. So I'm not surprised to see him go today. But trading up for him and taking him at 12, I hate it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Like the player, just too high.
Hope they're right.
All right, well, let me bring in a guest here. I was planning on going all the way to the end tonight, but we don't have to wait around for pick 31 anymore.
Unless they trade up again.
They do have 2 second-round picks to move.
Oh, that is true.
I can't believe this.
Do you think if Roger McQueen was still on the board, they would have still taken Nesbitt?
Well,
Like, if they had
at
him
this
ranked
point,
this high
yeah.
on their board,
At this point, if Porter Martone wasn't on the board, they'd have taken Nesbitt. I mean, this is unbelievable. This is who we had to trade up for. Are you serious? This is how you work the draft? I'm seriously worried. Like, they better pan out or I'm done. Like, unbelievable.
he better.
I will eat all the crow in the world if my team wins because that.
So they've been saying,
wow. We're awfully quiet here, fellas. I think there's something to that.
Oh, mock this one too.
Yeah. I'm surprised they skipped over Eklund, but that seems like a Detroit Red Wing player.
They both kind of seem like Red Wings player.
Is it just because he's Swedish?
It helps that he's European, I think.
I didn't expect him to be all the way available at 14. That seems crazy for Eklund.
Are there any Nesbitt fans in the chat?
So I'm looking at I just started looking. I have a spreadsheet, Jim, of like 40 different ranking sources. So I'm seeing where Nesbitt was on all of these. Averaged out, he ranked 37th. His highest ranking was 15th, and his lowest is 108.
Does it say who had him at 15?
The Flyers.
Yeah, I can get there. Bob McKenzie had him at 17. Corey Proman had him at 15.
All right.
Ty, I hope so, man. I hope so. But I'm also afraid of who they'll actually take too.
I'm just gonna
Elite prospects had him at 48.
Yeah, I mean that's not. Like I'm not going to sit here and talk myself into like, oh, it makes sense to pick. They drafted a big center who they could have probably gotten later in the draft.
Yeah, I think Bob McKenzie's final board had him at 17. Sorry if someone said that.
Yeah, definitely. Scouts and GMs seem to like him more than.
So that holds a little bit more weight then, you think?
Yeah, because that comes from actual NHL scouts. So he was going to be a first-round pick, but
They have Bear listed as a left winger here.
I mean,
I like
the Flyers
Bear a
power
lot.
play has some real net front presence now. You got Martone, Nesbbit, a lot of big guys.
I just feel like they fell in love with a big center.
Yeah, that's what it seems like right now, right? Jack Nesbbit.
Obviously,
Do you think they really valued size that much that they needed to trade 2 first-round picks to the hated Pittsburgh Penguins because they just had to have
But 31 is
Jack
so,
Nesbitt at what was that?
That's what I'm saying.
12?
Dude, 31
Come on.
It also makes me wonder if how big of a factor was size on Martone versus Higgins.
If I'm gonna try to give an argument here, if I'm gonna try to take their side some way, it's that we heard, thank you, after, I don't know, the first 12, 14 picks, this draft was kind of a mishmash. It was a good depth draft. So I took that as, okay, draft for what you like or what you need. Because from what it sounded like, best player available was sort of in the eye of the beholder, whoever had the pick. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? But at 12, I think he still could have gone chalk or pretty close to the top there. Like if Eklund was the best player on the board, who's next, And I don't know if they did that.
Travis connecting.
There are like 6 to 7 players I had taken before Jack Nesbitt. What I don't understand is why they were like, and I can, well, maybe this team was interested. I feel like they fell for a smokescreen then. They, as much smoke screening as they do, they fell for the, oh my God, we must trade 2 first-round picks to the hated Pittsburgh Penguins to get this guy now because he's big. Like, come on, man. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I'll eat all crow. I'll put.
And this is where I would come back to the Brent Flair thing, because a lot of times he doesn't draft for ceiling. He drafts for
the
floor. He
Right.
takes the safest guy, and it's
I
like
hate that.
you didn't have to do that yet. You could have done that at 22.
Why would you trade up for
31.
somebody? Why would you trade up for somebody whether you love their floor? You're going to trade up for a guy because he's the highest floor? That makes me want to cry on the spot.
That's the argument. If there's an argument for Brent Flair, that's it. He takes the safest guy.
I hope Josh is right. Hopefully, he does have 2 center ceiling. Like I said, I see a 3C at best, and this draft has a lot of 3Cs that you don't need to reach for one.
I think he'd be a really good 3C, and there's not a whole lot of centers in this draft who have the size he does, but I just don't see, unless there's I'm not in the room, so I don't know, but I don't see him as a top 15 pick in this draft.
No. But they're
somebody have a parakeet?
Yeah, ever since Carter Bear got taken, my dog, who's named Carter, grabbed the toy and started squeaking the hell out of it.
Is that what it was?
Essentially getting drafted.
It sounded like a bird or something.
You know, my favorite part about that Carter Bear pick was they didn't have to trade up for him. I mean, come on. Like, what is going on? Okay, I can live with Martone over Higgins for sure. That was a personal preference, but they still got a hell of a player. This is so out of left field. He has been
It's a reach.
constantly mocked, like late first round. Let's see if he falls to you. There's so many other players you could take. You have to give up 2. I know you have a ton of seconds.
There's a couple.
I'm sorry. I don't like
big-
it.
I love a team.
This usually you let the draft come to you. This is you trying to come to the draft and just it feels like the most noobish thing. And I hate it. I just cannot believe they traded up for Jack Nesbbit. Like this is unbelievable. When we look at the draft rankings and our personal draft rankings, and yeah, we're nothing. We don't know shit. I get it. We suck. That's why we're just like the Flyers. We haven't won a fucking Stanley Cup in 50-something years. But like, we're gonna look at where he was drafted and be like, yeah, that makes sense. That he should be drafted later. And we, on top of that, we gave up 2 first-round picks. Oh my God. We're hoping that they trade second-round picks to keep tonight alive. And that's what we got.
You're making it sound like he was supposed to be mocked.
Well, as someone who loves the World Juniors, I got to root for Canada huge next year.
Is he gonna make the team?
Martone for sure. Nesbitt, I think, has a decent chance. I mean, the whole thing last year is they passed on guys like Markey and Misa because they wanted to get tough and they wanted to be, hard to play against. And I think Nesbitt's the style player that Team Canada's going for, unless they're going to correct hard from last year.
Here's a write-up Mackenzie has on him here, I think. This was posted by Dan Silver. So if it's not Mackenzie, my bad. I didn't do my due diligence there, but he certainly posted it as something that Mackenzie said here. So you're right. Mackenzie had him ranked 17, and he describes him as a forward who is surging in the eyes of scouts. He's big, 6'4", 185 pounds, number 17 in his rankings. Even though Nesbitt hasn't fully filled out yet and his skating needs work, he's becoming an easy projection because he plays a hard physical game, which is kind of what we were saying about Flair. If he likes the guys that you can kind of easily project, which sometimes, in my opinion, to his detriment. Mentions that he scores 25 goals, averaged almost a point per game as a second liner in Windsor. He mentions also that one scout has him ranked as high as 8 overall. 5 more slotted him somewhere in the teens, and
Gotta
no
imagine
one
that's Philadelphia scout.
and no one had him
Yeah,
lower
honestly,
than
it
number
probably is.
28. He's another guy to watch on draft day because of the increased buzz of late. So sounds like they did what we all thought they were going to do with Brady Martin for Jack Nesbitt.
I'm really happy they didn't go Martin at 6, and they didn't have the opportunity to. I'm kind of scared as to know if they had that available, what they have. And good for Columbus.
I love what Columbus is building.
Who'd they just take?
You want this
I'll
book before
let you see it.
So my boy. Was it Rashny? That's pretty classy. That's Gaudreau's wife up there.
Tri-Cities jerseys are super close to Columbus. I saw they compared Nesbitt a lot to Brock Nelson.
Sounds like a good 3C to me.
That'd be
Nelson's had
fantastic.
I
hell
mean,
of a
Brock
career.
Nelson in his prime was a pretty damn good second line center. I think he was scoring upwards of
He's
like
a high-
28, 32
high-end
goals a
player.
year.
Who work in scouting.
Yeah.
That's
He's
it.
a-
Because
he's a damn
that's
good
the
player.
ceiling. That's the ceiling.
Yeah,
That's the ceiling now.
I 100% agree with that ceiling, but I have the chances of hitting that ceiling at like a 15, 20% at best because he has a lot to work on.
At 30 goal scorer, 75 points 1 year, 69.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a swing on upside because I don't know if the floor is all that high for Nesbitt. Like if he doesn't
Is
hit, that's a low end 3C. You know,
Why are we trading 2 first-round picks for Jack Nesbitt? Somebody answer me that question.
So I think
Answer me that question.
I
You're
think
off
because
right
of the probably because of the talent in the draft this year, I'm going to assume.
that's a great.
And they traded up to get their guy.
I will name.
I mean, yeah,
Up until
they probably
22.
have him as a
Pretty-
Has potential.
Go ahead,
then you
go ahead,
got-
they
Paul.
probably have him as a top 10 ranked player, and he's a big center in their top 10. Like that
That's it.
on paper is worth trading.
He's
up
big.
For.
He was going.
I'm just
He's
not
big.
sure how they see that.
See, I think
You know,
coming into this draft, I didn't view Nesbitt's upside as he's a big center. like he has some really good puck skills. That's what excited me about him. I mean, I had him ranked 19th for a reason. There's a lot for him to work. I don't think his stick handling, shot, or any of that is elite. I don't think he has a single elite tool besides being 6'5". But I think, everything comes together with him. He could be that like 70-point second line center, but I see more of like a solid 40, 45-point third line center realistically.
Yeah, I can't sit here and be like, you know what? This is a guy I'm excited for, guys. Yeah, I think you just got to watch him a little bit. I mean, I got to watch him too. I'm not going to sit here and lie about that either.
I hope there's more upside than I see, and I hope Josh is correct. I think there's guys like Gustav Hillstrom and Matthew Gard that can kind of play the role that Nesbitt's going to play, and they'll be drafted mid-second round probably. So I don't know. We'll see.
Thank God he's big. We needed to get bigger. We needed to get badder. We needed to throw some hits around. Totally worth 2 first-round picks for the guy who probably would have been there in the early to mid-20s, but what do I know?
I don't worry so much about guys who need to work on skating. Like, that's not really a factor for me. That's a super fixable skill. I don't see an elite tool with Nesbitt. And when you're drafting in the top 15, I want that guy to have at least one elite tool that like separates him from the pack.
Eklund's got stuff on here. Islanders might end up with Schaefer and Hagens. Schaefer and Eklund.
I've seen Braden Coots mocked a lot to Vancouver, and I think that's a guy they really like.
Yeah.
It's a guy.
I got to say, did not see Eklund falling this far.
No, not a chance. I saw him outside of the top 10, realistically.
One of the most talented players in draft, in my opinion. So it's you mentioned luxury player. And I guess some of these teams do have center, or they do have wings already. Tell you what, though, we're at pick 15. If the Flyers come up at 22 and guys like Aitchison and Reshny are there, then maybe I'll get to Jack's level of excitement. But we'll see. Oh, and the Islanders have those 2 picks. So when does Columbus trade for a bona fide top pair D-man, Jim? It doesn't look like it anymore unless they were doing the Flyers a favor and taking Jackson Smith. That was a lot of tongue-in-cheek when I made that tweet as well. But thanks for following along there, Ty. Ladies and gents, we have a special guest, our second one of the night joining our show. Mr. Ryan Thompson has joined us. Ryan is the owner of Broad Street Breakout, the creator of the Broad Street Breakout. Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight, man. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, James?
Doing very good. It's been an eventful night, man. I'm sure you're following along.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us, before we get into the Flyers picks, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have going on here with the Broad Street Breakout?
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of like my 9-to-5 job, if you will, I'm currently a Tier 1 hockey coach. I grew up in like the Delaware, Philadelphia area. I'm currently living in North Jersey. So I've coached the 2010s and the 2008 birth years the last couple of years. Currently coaching the 2011s up here. So I've been around hockey my entire life. Because of that, I also have access to Instat. So a lot of my breakdowns and everything on the Flyers and prospects going forward are all very video centric and video heavy.
Amazing tool, isn't it?
It's awesome.
So tell us about Broad Street Breakout. You're posting a lot of great content. You mentioned you're using Instat. I mean, in my opinion, that's one of the best, if not the best tool to watch players. You can watch any player you want, any game, any time in the world. So tell us what you got going on Broad Street Breakout, and when did you start this up? And it's obviously going well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I just started this not that long ago. I would say probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and something that's always been kind of like a passion project of mine, if you will. Always kind of thought about getting into sports and media and things like that. Never really had the ability necessarily in terms of just like, graduated college, got to figure out what to do after that. And just, went the career route, with sales, all of that, and I enjoy what I do. But at the same time, I've always just kind of have a passion for hockey. Is the reason I got back into coaching, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this side of it allows me to kind of like talk about the X's and the O's a little more. From some of the breakdowns I see on like social media and from some like the writers I follow, you don't always see X's and O's and video breakdown of like, specific power play breakdowns and like, where things went wrong or what defensively players are doing wrong. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to kind of add. Not really sure where this is going to go yet. But so far I'm going to start with the Flyers. Maybe this is like the draft's been my kind of looking at all of the prospects, not just Flyers focused ones. So we'll see where it goes. I'm very excited, very new and still. So any advice you guys have, would love to hear it. But yeah.
My advice would be just keep doing what you're doing, man, because it's going to catch on. That's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, to get you some more exposure there, because what you're doing is you're essentially teaching people like, hey, like this is what you're seeing here. This is what you're watching. And, if you want to identify where a breakdown happens in a play, you're showing it. And all of a sudden, you're watching it on TV. And it's like, Ryan Thompson taught me that. That's this guy that missed the backdoor pass or whatever it is. So I love what you're doing. I enjoy watching it. And my advice would be to just keep doing it, dude, because it's catching on.
No, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you so much.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Flyers draft. Obviously, they had the 6th overall pick, and they made a big trade with the rival Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's talk about that 6th overall pick first. They went with Porter Martone. Did you have a preference there at pick 6?
Yeah, I personally wanted Higgins, but I was in the position where I was like perfectly fine with Higgins or Martone. It was like one of those like whatever the Flyers kind of like here at the end of the day, like probably a little bit of a homer in the regards of like I'm going to trust Danny and Jonesy a little bit here. That's their guy. That's who they liked. I think Zegras also probably changes the ability of taking Higgins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it. I really like Porter Martone. I think his game's great. He also kept up with all the guys at World Championships this year. It's like that was the one I would say worry is like his speed, and he looked like he fit right in with those guys. So I'm not too worried about his skating anymore. I think the Jack Nesbbit, I heard you guys a little bit before so I kind of have an idea of how we feel about that on this podcast. But it's interesting. I will say that Corey Pronman did have him rated at 15.
Yep.
And so we'll see. Another one whose skating isn't the best, I probably would have gone someone else there. Either Braden Coots or Eklund I really like, but
I can't believe Eklund's still on the board.
I know. I keep turning around. I just saw Coots win to Vancouver.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I'm shocked he's there. I almost wish the Flyers held on a little bit and then made that trade up there because it'd probably been a little less costly at that point.
Yeah, I mean that was a guy projected. I don't know if he was projected in mocks, but that's a top 5-6 guy that's still on the board there. So you mentioned you're good with the Martone trade. Yep. That's kind of how we were feeling as well on this show.
Yeah.
I think we were half split Higgins, and then if they drafted Martone, we were fine with that as well. At pick 12, it's funny because we were kind of joking around. When's the last time the Flyers and Pittsburgh made a trade? 2 seconds later, it's announced, there's a trade and it's the Flyers. And then so we all had kind of our guys. For me, I had guys like Reshny, Aitchison. That might have been a little too early to pick a guy like Reshny at 12.
Yeah.
But look, I'm a firm believer. If you believe in a guy and it's your guy, go up and get him. And so I have to imagine, or at least that's what it looks like, that Jack Nesbbit was that guy for the Flyers. And look, I'm sure over the next few weeks here, we'll all convince ourselves that, all right, this wasn't that bad of a pick. We didn't really watch him that much because he wasn't supposed to go there. Did you have any time to watch Jack Nesbbit at all?
Not a whole lot, if I'm being honest with you. I saw a little bit today. I was like breaking down some clips just so I can get them like tweeting out like as the draft was happening. So I had a couple already saved of them. Looks like he has a decent shot, but my biggest thing is I'd love to see him go to the NCAA. I think that a lot of these like OHL junior guys now need to probably go to the NCAA if they're a first round pick, because that's like they're going to develop more over there, in my opinion, in that league than they are in juniors where like they already kind of dominated. So I was trying to find if I saw anything about him, because I know Porter Martone, if he doesn't make the Flyers, he's got offers from Penn State, he's got offers from Michigan State. Like he has the looks there. I kind of hope the Flyers push Nesbitt a little bit towards the NCAA, unless they don't think he's ready. So that'll be interesting to see.
I would agree with that. What are your thoughts on this the new thing that these guys can do? They can go from the CHL into college. What do you make of all the new changes there?
Yeah, no, I think it's great for hockey. I think the toughest part is it's going to be the toughest for American hockey players because I think the USHL is going to struggle a little bit if they don't kind of combine a little bit with the CHL. But the Canadian players are going to benefit from it. All these guys who kind of forego their NCAA ability by going to juniors at 16, 17, now they have a chance again. And it'll only be good for them. They'll have a chance. I think college hockey is only going to keep growing and growing. So it's good for us in the U.S.
Yeah.
But until there's more teams, it's going to be tough for USA hockey players.
Selfishly, that's where my mind went. Like maybe I'll have a chance to watch some more of these guys. Whereas, I'm not going to Canada to watch any of these games. So it's hard to watch these guys in person before they're drafted. But, if they start, trickling down here, Penn State, maybe I'll take a road trip out to watch some of these players. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. They're saying that from an NIL perspective, these guys are going to get paid, right? Like I think the rumor I saw online was Porter Martone was they roughly offered him $250,000. So to make that much money in college, good for him. And they're trying to pay Gavin McKenna. Everyone's trying to pay Gavin McKenna to come to college. So it'll be good for the players. I'm glad they have a chance to make money now and play in a better league than in Canada. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I was talking to Russ Cohen not too long ago, and he said it's a good opportunity for some of these guys to go to college and get on that kind of regimen where they're working out, they're eating right, they're kind of getting their bodies ready for the NHL kind of thing instead of going, right from some of the Canadian league straight into the pros or whatever and have to make the adjustment kind of on the fly. Not that college is a buffer, but now you're getting into a program like that where, you're doing the right things before you're growing into your body a little bit more before you get to the pros kind of thing. So yeah, great stuff, man. So we have Paul and Jack are both back. Paul and Jack, this is Ryan Thompson from the Broad Street Breakout. Paul, I'm sure maybe you've seen some of Ryan's stuff on Twitter. He's doing some analysis on some prospect videos. He's using Instat. He does a great job. And maybe you're on mute here, Paul. Let me see. Or maybe you're not plugged in. We'll get you in a sec. So this is Paul, and that's Jack. Jack's my co-host, and Paul does some of our prospect stuff there.
No, great to meet you guys.
Ty Shelton chiming in. Happy Valley, I'm down. Yeah, that'd be nice. And then there's rumors that Gavin McKenna could also be in Penn State. They signed Jackson Smith. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a guy that McKenna's good friends with that's already out in Penn State? Or is that Jackson Smith that I'm thinking of?
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't recall.
I had to say, the Pagulas who are have the Penn State ties and obviously own the Sabres. They're definitely ponying up the money all of a sudden now. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see what happens with that.
For sure. So how do you see, the Flyers they still have 3 picks coming up in the second round, which will be tomorrow. They still have pick 36, pick 40, and pick 48. Mm-hmm. They traded that 45 pick to Anaheim. Before we get to what we think is going to happen the rest of the draft here for the Flyers, at least in the next few picks, thoughts on the Trevor Zegras trade, and what are your thoughts on it affecting the potential way that they drafted at 6?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I love the Zegras trade. You buy low on a guy who has the highest potential out there. It'll be interesting to see how he works with Tocchet. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing but when going back through his clips of he was tough on Cronin was tough on him. One of the things that everyone was saying is he wasn't performing well, but at the same time, you could see there was elements of his two-way game kind of coming around. You know what I mean? I thought he's definitely back checking a little more. He's definitely trying to be a little more defensively responsible than he had been in the past. So I love the upside of it. At the end of the day, you traded Paling in a second. I'll take that kind of any day of the week. 100%. But I definitely think that it affects. I think it does impact their opinion of Higgins or Martone, and they went with the bigger winger instead. Again, I hope they're both can't miss guys in Higgins and Martone, but it would be tough to watch Boston get a home run after all these years.
It would, and we were kind of just saying that, I think Jack was the most upset with the pick, mostly because Higgins was his guy as well.
Yeah.
And then we're going back to last year. I was really high on Zeev Buium, and he just kind of kept slipping.
Yeah.
And I never once thought that there was going to be a shot that the Flyers were going to be able to take him wherever that was. It was 13, I think he ended up going, or 12.
They traded back one or two, right?
Yeah, I never thought that there was going to be a possibility that he was going to be there. But then once he was there, it was kind of like, now you got to take him, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And they ended up getting their guy again in Luchenko, which by all accounts seems to be a nice player. And Jack was distraught after that. I think I talked him up on Booyah, who seems to be a very good player. I'm not sure what he projects still in the NHL, but it's a couple years in a row we've had some disappointment on our draft show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I think what would be interesting to see is who kind of slips out of this first round to me, that second round. Because I don't see them making. I think they either trade one of those 3 picks or they have one next year. Because I feel like everyone's saying like the top of this draft was pretty decent, but then after that it kind of falls off. So I can't see them taking 3 in the second round here.
No.
But maybe they can trade up again if they like a guy that slipped. But we'll see.
Yeah, maybe sneak back into the first round and they still end up getting the 3 first-round picks there. I hope so. Yeah. As much as I do like watching the draft, that's a lot of picks, man. And for a draft like this, there is depth in the first round, and there are some names in the second round. But after that, like, just start compiling picks here and let's get some of these guys that you want.
What's some of your guys' thoughts on the goalie situation? Do you want to draft a goalie in this draft, or you rather?
So there are 3 that I've heard kind of over and over, right? Like obviously Ravensbergen's there, Ivan Kovic is there, and the third guy that I've heard most recently is Frolov. I think if you take a goalie, great. I don't know that you need to take one in the draft. I think they have a lot of guys coming up. What I would do this offseason is I would just try to patch it up a little bit, right? I mean, it looks like they're adding to the roster to maybe make to have a shot at the playoffs. So I would at least add a goalie that allows them to do that. I'm not sure Fedotov and Erson is the answer. Yeah. And you got guys like Bjarnason, who I think is going to be in Lehigh next year. And Zavrajan comes over in a year or so, whatever it is. So I would kind of do patchwork. I don't know that you need to keep drafting guys, maybe later on in the draft, whatever it is. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think you gotta kind of ride out I'm blanking on his name over in Russia right now and see if he kind of eventually is the next big Russian goalie prospect. I know we kind of whiffed on Kolosov this year, but they got to do something. It's again, if you can get a guy in the second round of the draft and he's another project, I think at this point they've taken a goalie almost every draft, and I think they probably will again this one, just from the standpoint of like it's a volume play. At some point, one of them's got to hit because you don't know if Carson Bjarnason's going to be the one. You just kind of you hope he is, but they're all years away, so I think it's just more of a volume play that they're going for at this point.
That certainly seems like what it is, and I like what they're doing. It seems like every year they're just putting a guy in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Which, hey, it's I think as Mikey D says on Twitter, always be drafting goalies.
No, yeah, especially when most of them play overseas. You know what I mean? Like you can develop them over there. You don't have to worry about blocking the AHL.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest issue with Kolosov. It's kind of you brought over Fedotov when you kind of promised him to come over as well.
And that's kind of how I was before the season when things got a little bit weird with Kolosov. When it was kind of heard that they weren't sure if he wanted to come over. That's fine. Leave him over there. Let him cook over there. Bring him over when he wants to come over. And if he never wants to play for the Flyers, that's fine. Yeah,
exactly. That was.
It would suck to lose a 3rd-round pick that way because I think that's what he was, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go back and check. But I think when you force a guy to do something where maybe his heart's not in it, you kind of get what we got this year.
Right.
And it just seemed a little bit forced, where some of these guys, let them come over when they're ready. It's not everybody adjusts the same way. You bring a guy to a new country. It's a lot, as we saw with like Michkov. Some of these guys make it look easy. You know what I mean? But if you stuck me over in Russia, where I don't know anybody, I don't have any friends, family over there, and laid me up in a hotel room, don't get me wrong, I'm playing professional hockey.
Right.
But you're still human at the end of the day. And if a guy's heart's not in it, I think you get what we got this year.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
So, yeah, keep goalies coming, to your point. Rye, we appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. We'll let you get back to the draft. You got a good setup back there, by the way.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm shocked my fiance's let me have this for this long, to be honest. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks for giving me the chance to kind of jump on here and talk hockey with you guys. And if you ever need someone else again, feel free to reach out.
Dude, we would love to have you back on anytime. Before we let you go, where can everybody find you on Twitter, and where can they find your work, man? You do great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Broad Street Breakout, pretty much every Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. I'm trying to figure out the TikTok and the Instagram aspect of this. And then you can also follow me on broadstreetbreakout.com.
Outstanding stuff, guys. Make sure you go give Ryan a follow. Make sure you check out his work. And Ryan, I'm sure we'll have you back on soon. Thanks for taking the time.
Awesome. Thanks, James. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Take care, Ryan. All right, there you go, Ryan Thompson. What a great guy. And if you guys aren't following him, make sure you go give him a follow. He's putting out good stuff. If you want to learn about the game, perfect follow. Does a great job explaining things. Hey, for somebody like me, if I don't know what I'm watching or talking about, Ryan's a great guy to follow. I'm sorry. All right, guys, we're he was pretty good, right, Deej? So we're like 20 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes into this. The Flyers don't have another pick as of right now for the rest of the first round. So what I think we're going to do is maybe end the stream now. And if the Flyers end up trading back into the first round, we'll do kind of a breaking news or an emergency episode. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Thank you to Paul, Josh, Jack, Isaiah, and Ryan for taking the time to hang out with us. Flyers got 2 big players tonight, that's for sure. Porter Martone at 6 and Jack Nesbbit at 12. So that's going to wrap up our show tonight. Huge thanks to everyone once again, especially everyone that dropped their opinions in the chat and stayed with us throughout all the drama, especially Teodoro watching us at 3:00 in the morning over in Greece. That's good stuff. Shout out to our incredible guests once again for their insight, hot takes, and to all of you guys, the diehard fans that make this show what it is. We'll have a full draft grade report prospect show coming up next week. We'll give our Flyers analysis, all coming your way. So if you haven't yet, make sure you smash the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And until next time, keep it high. Keep it wide. Thank you for watching HW Hockey. We'll be back if there's a trade. So we'll see you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.